you see the opportunity of artificial intelligence and how it will change our lives, but do you also see a potential threat?
Of course, I think that, well, the threat is like if you overdo, like next to perspective, and I think that perspective, it always is in relation to balance. So if you don't balance and you don't get the right balance also on how you use or how you implement the artificial intelligence, then you're going to overdo and it will not become right. That's also why, and it's most people who work on it and who are already implementing it, they say like it will always be next to human cooperation or human supervision or...
I tend to disagree. And also I think what you're saying right now is it starts from the notion that we as humans get to decide that balance.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing about artificial intelligence is it will get to a point. That's the whole point of artificial intelligence. It doesn't need us to think. It doesn't need us to act. Mm-hmm. It'll act and think on its own. So it's almost inevitable if you listen to all the people in the primary people in the field like Elon Musk, and they all talk about, look, it's not a question about whether or not artificial intelligence will get to a point where they will, quote unquote, dominate us. The real question is, will they be good for us or not? We already know at one point they will take over, not to talk in absolute terms, but we're not going to be able to tone it down like a CD player.
No, but that's the thing. If you look forward, and for me, I'm like I would say I'm very positive. I'm positive towards the future. I'm positive towards what's going to happen. I also believe in a kind of, I would say, everything changes and will keep on changing. It's pantarei, and that's the fine thing. But for with regards to artificial intelligence, I'm going to make an example. I worked with a company. I did 3 projects with them, and they had an external or another project at a transportation company. And they had a planning unit with them, with 12 people working in it. That's quite a big planning unit. And they wanted to start and to look, okay, can we do something with the data we have captured or we are capturing, and with artificial intelligence? Well, they gave their data to that company. They go into like, okay, guys, what can we make better, more efficient, more fluent, smarter, better cooperation, a better service for our customers. So they did that, and that company came in, and of course the 12 people who were working at the planning unit, they were like, okay, no, this is going to eat our jobs, and we will not have a job anymore, whatever. So the company came in, and that will be in the future the biggest one. They said, no. Of course, you have to implement, you have to explain, you have to have people on board. They said, if we do what we do, and they build a kind of a meter, and it was like people who get a phone for transport that needs to be done, they have to give in some parameters, and then when they give in the parameters, they click up OK, and the thing says, okay, this is green, orange, or red. If it's a green one, that's a very good planning, transportation to do for the company, whatever. A red one, you shouldn't do only for very, very good customers. Because then once in a while you can do something that you don't really make money on, or that is not good in the system. Okay? They did that, and they say, we will make a prediction. Within a year, this planning unit will not consist of 12 people, but of 15 people. Revenue will go up, it will go skyrocketing. And indeed, they implemented it, the tool. What they saw was like, okay, they did more jobs, more services for new customers also that were on their mark. The revenue was better, they could hire more people. So what I want to say is, indeed, you just cannot leave it on its own. You have to make the balance, and the balance, like, is this the morality of it, and the balance in, do we want this as humanity or as a company or whatever? That's something, of course, that will always be something between people, and between how you manage the things in a company or in a project or in your personal life or whatever. So I'm quite, how would I say, I think that I believe that we will cope with it. Of course, you will have dangerous sides and dark sides on it, and there will be misuses, but you also have that now, and
that's true
in general. But we will see. And again, for me also, it's something new. It makes me wonder. It's
exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. And to be honest, also, it's if you see the results. So you take the data, you put it in a system, you learn the system. And then afterwards, what it can do in real time, for me, it's like almost a miracle.
Yes.
What comes out. So, yeah, that's a bit what I'm focusing on now and how I'm thinking. But I don't have anything concrete, or I'm not working on a fixed project.
I agree with you, and I always say I think we're living in the best time ever, because we're going to look back on these 15, 20 years as the shifting point. The internet has only just begun. I always like to compare the rise of the internet to people discovering fire. Like, just if we go back mentally to how people, when they first discovered fire, can you imagine how long it took them to figure out what it could do? Imagine how many people got burned, how many villages got burned down just out of sheer curiosity to see what can this thing do. And I feel like we're doing the same with the internet right now. We haven't really quite figured out yet what is happening. So I agree with you. I'm very optimistic about the future, and I think it's an exciting time to live in. However, at the same time, I already see the impact that algorithms and AI have on people. And the thing that sometimes scares me is how many people actually enjoy for an app to make decisions for them. For example, with Tinder, with things like that. I have a friend, and he tells me, I wish I could have an app that would basically tell me how to live my life. Anytime I have a problem or something happened to me, that the app could tell me based on my past behaviors, that the algorithm could come up with statistically the best choice to make. And when I hear things like that, that scares me, because at the end of the day, we are humans, and we are growing. We are continuously getting closer to this type of transhumanism, where we are becoming one with the machine, basically.
Yeah, well, that's true. And again, maybe if I go back to the perspective thing, if you are at a 100-kilometer stadium and you look back, and looking back is also what artificial intelligence does, because they have to have good quality data and enough data. So that's what they do. And based on that, they go to the future. That doesn't mean, indeed, that things cannot change. But for me, for instance, there are in my past things I love to do, things I like to see or read or stuff. There is a sort of red line. That doesn't mean that I'm exactly the same person I was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Some things change.
For sure.
But they change, well, that's true, but they go, it's not often that quick. Well, people overestimate also what you can do in 1 year, but they underestimate what you can do in 10 years. And like, let's say, if you go back 10 years or 20 years, if you would have that data, or no, data is a bit maybe too ridiculous to put on yourself.
I know
but if you have the view on yourself, like, okay, guys, this was me in slices of 2 years for the past 20 years. Right. Well, we would, I think me also, we would be surprised on some stuff, but there would also be, I think, the red line. And the red line, I think that's what you try to get out of it. But again, for me, it's always with human interaction, with human supervision. Also there, the planning service, they are now with 15 people looking at it, but they need it also, because they have to say, okay, you give a red flag here for this question we get, but we still are going to do that, because this is our best customer, and in this case, or this is a new customer, and we know that they are growing like hell, and like next year or the year after, we want to still have them on board. Or we also have a customer we invested in ourselves. I'm giving just examples, and that is something that the system or the data, they don't know.
Right.
So you don't know some part, you don't know, but other parts you don't. You can get out of it. But to be honest, to go to your app. I wouldn't like that app either.
No, absolutely. It sounds like a nightmare to me. But